Hello friends, welcome to the Cyberman Show. Today's topic is what is cybersecurity? Why do we need cybersecurity? Does everyone need cybersecurity? So I'm going to uncover all that today. Just for your revision, my name is Prashant Mishra. I'm a cybersecurity consultant for almost 20 years now, and this is the Cyberman Show. Okay. So I'm going to start with why. What is the purpose of cybersecurity, right? So as you know, there is a definition. For most of the things, there's a definition, and essentially what cybersecurity does is it protects all the connected systems from external, unauthorized, unapproved usage of your systems. Now, as you know, everything or mostly everything is connected to internet today. Anything you are doing is typically over phone or on your desktop, and either you're buying something, selling something, watching something. So all the systems that or applications that you're using, they all run on infrastructure, and we call this IT infrastructure, and this includes people like you, users, people like me who are trying to build that infrastructure. Then there are applications or apps, either they are your desktop apps or they are apps that are running on mobile phones or other devices. Okay, and then there are devices like your mobile phone, your laptops, okay, your smart TVs, your streaming devices, your home entertainment systems. Okay, anything that's connected to system, to internet, and anything that's providing an application or hosting something, which is the server or workloads as we call them. And there is the entire network, right? So starting from your telecom connectivity, the fiber running from your home, or the 4G, 5G connectivity that you have, and then within the corporate infrastructure, the cables and any connectivity, the internet lease lines that we have taken. Okay, and then there is the cloud, which is essentially the hosting part, or this is where the application providers or service providers host their infrastructure. This is the way you access streaming applications like watching a match. Okay, and then of course there's data, which is whatever you're doing that is generating data, and it is getting uploaded to this infrastructure, right? So now with this, all this infrastructure, which includes what we are doing, what we are trying to access, what are our patterns, there could be something personal about us, right? So we are all uploading pictures on various applications, and this information is critical for a lot of people, right? And a lot of people can misuse it also. Okay, so that's where hackers come in, and they want to misuse the system or bring it down with various reasons, right? So and I'm going to cover the types of hacker and why they go behind certain things. But essentially, the job of cybersecurity is to secure our infrastructure, right? And this infrastructure includes all these components that I mentioned. Okay. Now, what are the threats that we see in this infrastructure, right? So, once let's say you're watching an IPL match or any game, what kind of threats that we see, right? So typically, let me start by saying there are two types of threats: external threats and internal threats. And external threats are done by external people, and internal threats are done by people who know the system. So, example, for last 2 years, these are the most common threats we have seen on the internet. So, ransomware being one of the most popular ones, where what it does is this piece of software, it encrypts your system, it holds your system hostage, and you can't log into the system, you can't use it unless you pay some money to a remote hacker who has carried out this activity. And this is typically done in cryptocurrency, and there have been numerous incidents where they have held hospitals on ransom, they have held businesses on ransom. And imagine a business going down, not being able to do anything for hours and hours. Imagine a hospital system where doctors can't log in, the nurses can't log into the monitoring systems, and they can't prescribe medicine or monitor test. Now that's bad for us, right? And similarly, it's bad for businesses. Okay, so ransomware are typically used by cyber criminals to make money from these malicious softwares. Now, the second category of malicious software, or as we call them malware, is rats, bots, and mobile malware. Now, essentially, they don't hold your system hostage, But what they're doing is they're either stealing your data. So RAT stands for remote access Trojan. What that means is I can monitor anything that's happening on your desktop, laptop, or your mobile phone. I can copy it and I can then maybe blackmail you. Maybe I can put it on internet just to shame you. I can use your mobile phone or a desktop to conduct an attack that that you might not ever come to know, but I can use it to conduct attacks on some website, like a government website. This is very common. So as I've been covering the Russia-Ukraine cyber warfare, a lot of attackers are using bots, which are third systems that they control. They're using the CPU and the memory resources of these mobiles or desktops and attacking in thousands and millions of quantities. Okay, and then there is mobile malware, which is essentially controlling or monitoring what's happening. So all your SMSs, OTPs, your pictures, contacts are getting dumped to these hackers. Okay, and then the third category of attacks that is getting common is cryptojacking or hidden crypto mining. Again, this is essentially kind of malware. What it does, it has a specific purpose. It uses your CPU resources or your system resources to help in the mining operations, and these miners eventually are able to make cryptocurrency out of it. So when they can't buy, what they do is they buy these systems or mobile phones to do the mining. And some of the common ones that I've found are XMRig and JSC Coin. Okay, and they get installed either as pirated apps, pirated games. So whenever you're downloading a pirated game, a very popular pirated game, be careful. Your phone or system could be used for mining. Okay. Now the next common threat is email threat, which is typically the common term that we call is phishing, and essentially it's about sending emails to target users with an intent to lure them to give up information. Now the most common form is spear phishing, which is targeted. When I say targeted, instead of sending you a generic spam, which is hey user, we have a lottery for you, they go with, hey Prashant, we found that you were looking for this particular T-shirt online. Here is a discount coupon, and once you open an attachment, your system gets infected. Okay. A similar form of this threat is also available on SMS. It's called smishing. And now there is one called QRushing, which is QR code. So instead of sending you SMSs, they can send you a QR code, because you can't read QR code. You have to scan it, and as soon as you scan, the system takes you to a website where you have to put your information. Okay, and there is another extended version of this phishing, which is veiling. So instead of attacking general employees of a corporate, they go after the top execs, CEOs, MD of a company. And even one of them reveals information. It's a high value information instead of a generic information that they can get from an employee, a regular employee. Okay, so email threats are very common these days. And again, what attackers are doing, they are combining all these. So email threats, so sending an email which has an attachment that can once somebody opens, can eventually lead to a ransomware infection, right? So they're combining all these techniques. Now the next threat is against the availability and integrity of the infrastructure. So most common being website defacement or denial of service attack. Website defacement, also known as website hacking. So somebody hacks your website, and your main information is lost, and they're displaying their banners and some other messages. Okay, and then there is DOS, which is making sure that your website, the main business website, is not able to serve its purpose. So let's say you have an e-commerce website which is designed to handle 5,000 customers in a minute. Suddenly the hacker starts sending it 500,000 customers a minute. So that's website is not equipped, doesn't have resources to manage this kind of workload, and it goes down. Now imagine in today's world, if a popular website going down by an hour, it is millions and rupees or dollars getting lost in business. And the third concept is in this attack category is water holing. So it's the term is derived from jungle, where the tiger waits for its prey to come to drink water, and once it starts drinking water, the tiger attacks. So in this case, what hackers do is they hack a website or a business which is less secure, and as the employees or some of the target users come to this website, they get infected. A very common example is, let's say, during or in a particular region, there is a very popular news website that everyone opens in the morning, and I, as a hacker, hacked this website, and I know that every morning this particular region, people will visit that website, and the website gets infected. The person who's visiting gets infected. He downloads a malware, or it can be a specific cryptojacking malware. It could be a rat bot. It could be a ransomware also, right? So eventually, the system, both the main website as well as the people who are visiting that website are getting infected. Okay. The next type of threat that we see today is disinformation, misinformation. This is essentially fake news, and there have been multiple incidents. In fact, attackers are using deep fake or AI-based videos, AI-generated videos to spread messages. 2 weeks back, I saw messages coming from both the presidents of Ukraine and Russia trying to talk about surrendering or peace treaties, etc., and they were both fake. Okay, and this is very popular in the WhatsApp world or messaging world, where people can generate messages and they try to make it look legit, and then they can instigate anything. The next common threat is threat against data, which is data breaches. So attackers going after a particular data set. So example, let's say you are a company that has millions of customers' records, and these records essentially include phone numbers, emails, home addresses, and this could be used by attacker to make fake IDs, right? And sell it somewhere to sell it to someone. So attackers go after these companies. So let's say a food delivery company whose main job is to have to serve its customers, let them order food online. They hold all our records, and once they get hacked, all that data is gone. Okay, and so in a lot of countries there are privacy acts, that ensure that all these businesses who have this confidential data, they carry out and they deploy cybersecurity products and solutions to safeguard our data. The next type of threat is the non-malicious threats. These are essentially threats that don't have any maliciousness in it, but they are done because of mistakes. So example, I'm too sleepy and I'm trying to configure software in as an IT admin for a company, and either because of lack of knowledge or my laziness, I don't configure it properly and leave it open for attackers to get in. Okay. The next attack is the supply chain attacks. These are essentially this is a category where instead of attacking the main target, you attack one of the suppliers. These are very common these days. My first supply chain attack that I saw or was part of was in year 2012. One of my companies where I used to work got hacked, and the security of that my company was pretty strong, but the contractor who was working in the company their security was not there. So as they visited our company got infected and eventually got hacked. And then the next category is insider threats. So insider threats is employees who have full access and they going after your company itself, right? Either they're not happy with their bosses, there is some other reason they want to hack. Either they are non-technical in nature, they could be technical in nature, and these days hacking groups are trying to lure employees of large companies to give up access in exchange of either virtual or cryptocurrency or some other benefit, right? So these are the common threats that we see in the IT infrastructure today. And for information, a lot of these didn't exist when I started my cybersecurity career. There were different kind of threats based on the IT infrastructure that got evolved. So as we get used to new kind of software, new kind of hardware, the threats will keep changing. So example, connected cars are getting real. They will become mainstream in next few years, worst case a decade. But then car hacking will be a common issue. Okay, so companies are already working to solve that problem, but there are too many unknowns. IT is complex, cybersecurity is even more complex. Okay, so these things will keep getting evolved. Now, we've discussed what kind of threats exist. Let's discuss who tries to create these threats, right? So there are typically four kind of actors apart from insider threats. So these are, I'm right now focusing on the external actors. So these are the most popular ones are state sponsored. These are essentially nation states or governments who are trying to hack each other for geopolitical reasons. So there are incidents of multiple countries attacking each other either as allies or against each other. You just Google cyber espionage and you'll find multiple incidents on it. Okay, there are dedicated cyber wings, and cyber war is part of the geopolitical strategy. It's very common now. Okay, the next category of hackers are cyber criminals. These are people who are using their skills to have financial motivation. So typically anybody who's behind ransomware, they are part of cyber criminal groups. So there was an attacker, just look up Revil ransomware. So this guy is made almost $250 million by sending ransomware to its targets, and that's the money they were able to make. And now he's extradited in US, but they essentially go after money. Okay, the third category is hacktivists. So hacktivists are hackers who don't typically go after money, but they have a political agenda. So people like groups like Lapsus, Anonymous, they are hacking to prove a point. So example, in the Russia-Ukraine cyber warfare, Anonymous has come publicly, has declared publicly that they will be supporting Russia, and they are trying to hack Russia, and they've exposed a lot of data they've tried to hack their streaming services, putting up messages, supporting Ukraine, showing live footage, and there have been cases like that in last few decades. And the last group is hacker for hire. These are hackers for hire. These are as a service people. So they don't typically get into hacking directly, but they do provide tools and ammunition. So it's like the companies that make arms, they don't typically fight, but they sell it to people who want to fight, right? Who want to buy arms. So they provide infrastructure for other hackers to hack someone, right? So these are available as a service based on per hour, per tool, depending on what kind of hack they want to do. Okay, now so these are the two things that I've covered. Now let's look into who's providing solutions. So you would have realized, based on the IT infrastructure, there are different type of threats, and for each threat there are different kind of solutions available. Okay, now these solutions are not just offered by one company but multiple companies, and they work at various levels. So if you are using a mobile, there could be different software for mobile, there could be a different software to handle email on mobile, there could be different software or handling email on a desktop, etc., right? Because IT is a complex domain in terms of number of moving parts. So a lot of companies provide that protection. Okay, now you can classify them into OEMs, or original equipment manufacturers, companies who are actually building a product to solve a particular problem. And on your screen, what you can see is some of the categories. So example, identity and access management, they provide authentication solutions, so ensuring that it's Prashant who's logging in, not somebody who's used stolen Prashant's password, right? And then there are product companies who provide network security, and again, network security is a big domain. Essentially means securing whatever is coming in your infrastructure. So anybody who's visiting a website that's hosted by a company, so ensuring that their website is not hacked. Also ensuring that employees, while they are accessing internet or external services sitting in the office campuses, they are secure, and they are only allowed or accessing things that are approved, things are sanctioned by the company, and no unknown devices, unapproved devices are able to get into the network, right? And then while they're browsing, their endpoints have to be secure. So there are endpoint security software or antiviruses. There are application security software, right, that scan your website, they scan your software, for finding out issues that would have led to insecure or vulnerability or a weakness in your application. Okay, and then because your applications are mostly hosted on cloud, there are cloud security solutions to ensure that your infrastructure where your hosting is continuously secure and compliant to the basic security hygiene. Okay, and then there is entire threat response and management category, which is where you're continuously scanning your infrastructure for new threats that are coming in, monitoring activity that's happening, whether it's happening on endpoint, it's happening on your servers, your network, etc., from a single pane of glass. And then any response that they are doing is automated. Okay, so and if there is a weakness, which we call vulnerability in our world, that's there, you track it and you ensure that you have a fix or a patch so that that vulnerability is not exploited. And then you can always track how many assets that you have. Now, if you might be wondering, if companies don't know what they have, yes, because the IT infrastructure is dynamic, the attack surface or potential places where hacks can happen keep on changing. And when I say dynamic, I'll give you a very simple example. Is in a typical match, when let's say Australia, India are playing, the number of people visiting a streaming company's website would be very high compared to when let's say India, West Indies are playing, right? So number of servers that the streaming company provides would change. Now each streaming server could be a possible point of hack for a hacker, right? So this information keeps changing. So both hackers as well as the IT infrastructure teams keep a track of what do they have in real time, what's functioning, what kind of activities happening on this extra server that got created. Okay. Now the next category of products is on IoT side or Internet of Things. So essentially these are sensors, smart home sensors, smart TV sensors, or any form of sensors that are connected to Internet, collecting information or giving out information. These are small computers, essentially, we have to put it, or chips, which can be again hacked to carry out a particular purpose. A lot of them have enough resources to host a small application that can do a particular job. And again, email security products are there, data security products are there, any banking transaction or banking fraud products are there, and compliance management software, which ensures that all your basic cybersecurity hygiene is maintained as guided by local governments, agencies, or sectoral watchdog that's there. Okay. Now, so the job of the OEMs is to make software or hardware to solve a particular problem, right? And then there is the service provider category, whose job is to make sure that they can build or install the system for various businesses. So, example, if you are a food delivery company, IT is not your core business. So what you do, you hire a partner or a service provider to manage IT for you, and similarly manage cybersecurity for you. So these companies provide services for installing and integrating various softwares based on the kind of business that you have, and keep monitoring issues, keep patching any issues that are there, respond to any threats that are coming in real time. And so operate, test, and report, these are their typically functions in this one, right? So that's the basic of cybersecurity, and there are a lot of companies who are doing this service. So if for each of the category that I mentioned, there are various companies who are doing that, building a problem or solving a problem, not building a problem, but building a software to solve a problem. And so if you want to get into cybersecurity, I recommend going through IT first. So it doesn't matter what background you have. You can always start with IT, learning IT fundamentals. So there are some courses available from various bodies. You don't need to get certified. You just need to gain knowledge. So you can go through certain books on IT. Then you can start picking up topics on security basics, and then you can start picking on a particular stream. So you might say, hey, I like apps, so why don't I learn about how to secure mobile apps, how to secure mobiles, right? So you start building topics like that, and you scale and start. One thing I recommend is always learning through cloud fundamentals. So a lot of cloud providers are there. I recommend going through at least one or two. so that you understand cloud basics and eventually learn cloud security, because a lot of companies are now hosting their IT infrastructure on cloud third-party data centers or facilities that are not owned by them. Okay, and then of course you can have product-specific knowledge. So example, in my case, I have product-specific knowledge, I have cloud-specific knowledge, and generic knowledge. And I've added those skills over a long period of time. So it's not complicated. You keep learning about one thing, and then you keep adding relevant and relevant domains and relevant topics around it. So with that, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next podcast. Thank you.